We're live.
Welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm Mark Tullis. This is my partner, Kirsten Kuhlman.
Hello.
And today we have with us Stephanie Garrity of Rainbows for All Children. How are you?
Good. How are you this morning?
Good.
Stephanie promised to speak really loud. She's not a loud talker, but, so
She promised us
she
she
told
would
us there's
try
a whole
really
history
hard.
behind it. We're going to work through
It's
it together.
not my fault. I own it, but it's not my fault.
Yeah, we know. We understand. But you are here to talk to us today about something very important.
I am. Rainbows is a pretty important place to a lot of children around the world, literally. Rainbows it'll be our 35th anniversary in January.
Wow,
And
it's
we
been
have-
around for a long time.
A long time. It was founded by Susie Yale Marta, who saw the need for her own children to have some support in a group setting. And so she literally started it around her kitchen table, and then it became weekend camps in the summer.
Cool.
And then it just kind of progressed from there to the point where we're in 27 states and 11 other countries. And, we serve thousands of children annually. We're over 3 million in our history. And it continues to grow because there's a significant need.
And so what is it exactly that Rainbows does
So
for
we
people?
train volunteer facilitators to lead peer support groups. The facilitators are all adults, but they lead peer support groups for children. So children come together in their own community where they, it might be a church, it might be a school, it might be a community center, it might be a library, where a facilitator leads the peer support group, and children, there's a curriculum that they follow. So children are kind of led through some conversation about different emotions that they might be feeling. And the losses that we deal with are not just death, but also divorce, deployment, deportation, incarceration, anything that separates a child from a loved one and creates trauma for that child. Children are dealing, over 80% of children in the U.S. are dealing with a loss like that of some kind. So, and they don't know what to do with it, and they keep it to themselves because when there's a parent missing, you don't want to bring up the other parent and make the surviving parent or remaining parent sad or angry or upset. So they just don't do it. And they end up trying to work through things on their own. A lot of times they come to wrong conclusions. They end up over time, because grief is something that stays with a child. With all of us. It's not something you have a loss, you grieve, you're done. It continues on for a very long time. So children end up a lot of times with no guidance, turning to self-harming behaviors. They end up developing addiction issues, falling in with the wrong crowd. They end up, committing crimes. There are many, many, many studies about what happens to children who don't have support through the grief process.
Yeah, I was going to say that I'm sure that it shows up in many different ways, depending on what skills somebody has. So it must make a big difference to learn to talk about it would be a big, huge step.
Just having the opportunity to talk about it. And I think the secret sauce for Rainbows is that we train facilitators where the children are within their own community. So you have a child who all of a sudden there's a parent missing, and most of us are two-income households anymore. So if there's a parent missing, now you have a parent who's not only short time but money. So maybe we have insurance, maybe we don't. So a child can get counseling, maybe they can't. Even if they can get counseling, you're talking about the surviving parent has to get this child to the counseling, and that's after school, after sports, and everything else. So by having it right in the child's own community where they live, learn, and play, children have access to those supports. And then the other piece that is really important, I think, is they're in a group with other children from their neighborhood that they play baseball with, that they go to church school with, that they, play on the playground or, whatever. And they start to recognize other children in the community that are in a similar place. Oh, Susie's dad doesn't come to her science night. Oh, Julie's dad isn't at our cheer practice. And so they start to develop their own peer support network beyond this 12 to 14 week group, which is kind of nice.
That's nice. Yeah, that's
And
that's
how do
amazing.
you reach out to make contact with these kids?
Yeah, how does that happen?
It happens organically currently. Social media has been wonderful for us, like it has so many other nonprofits. It gives us an opportunity to put the word out through social media and the internet in a way that we weren't able to before. our origins really were through the church. Churches were the root of a lot of our programs, and now we've spread into other avenues as well. So it's schools with, through social workers. Our program director and community outreach director, Laura Lindroth, does a great job of getting us out in front of all kinds of people, professionals that have the opportunity and the ability to lead these groups.
Kirsten, go to the Facebook page. I'm going to like it live. And then I'm going to help build
good.
that
There
following.
it is. Yeah.
There we are.
There it is, right there.
Facebook.com/rainbows for kids. So rainbows for all children in the search bar. So that's where it is. And you have a donation button there. And
And there's
we
also
see
a
there is
website.
a
Wait,
website.
the website too. Go to the
Here's the
website
website.
real quick.
Rainbows.org.
Right.
I love these.
The
these
graphics are beautiful.
colors.
Yeah, and the
this
colors
is-
are great. It's a very friendly site. That's nice.
Yeah,
That's really
and
nice.
I think it's important to note that our services are always free for children.
Okay.
There is a small fee for facilitators, just because there is a significant cost far beyond what we ask facilitators to pay for their training. But we have found that it helps for facilitators to have a little bit of their own in the game too.
Sure.
So they tend to take it a little more seriously, and for those that maybe, oh, this sounds like a great idea, but the majority of our facilitators are really amazing people who don't have time to do this, but they do it because they're passionate about it. So. And like I said, they're in 27 states and 11 other countries. So there's literally thousands of people out there doing this
So
work.
Australia did something fun, right? Didn't they light up, or Toronto, right?
Toronto.
did the light up the CN Tower for this.
Yeah,
And
this is their third year. Kimberly Thompson is the director of Rainbows Canada, and she has been working really hard. She's gotten some proclamations and things, but the CN Tower and a handful of other buildings throughout Toronto, which is kind of near and dear to my heart because I spent a lot of my older youth in right on Lake Ontario. So at night you could see the lights from Toronto across the.
Oh, nice.
But you're really a Blackhawks fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right, that a girl.
All right, we just had to get that straight.
No
That had to
question.
be
Yes,
straightened out,
please.
yeah.
My children need to know that.
I mean, Toronto's nice, but
But
it stops somewhere.
absolutely.
I love Toronto, but no.
Yeah. So Kim approached me over the summer and said, I have this idea and I really want to, we'd like to light up the Peace Bridge between Canada and the U.S. for Children's Grief Awareness Day. Would you support that? And I said, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
So Children's Grief Awareness Day has been around for a while, but our approach to it in the U.S. has been really fragmented. So there are tons of wonderful grief organizations, some who deal only with the loss of a loved one through death, but others that have that broader spectrum of loss. And we've not done a good job of putting this out in front of people. And I think it's one of those things when you consider that more than 80% of our kids are dealing with these losses, we need to do a better job of acknowledging that. And it needs to be more than one day a week or one day a year rather, but it's a start. And when we get people having that conversation that children grieve as deeply as adults, no question.
Oh, yeah.
This idea that children are resilient and they can deal with it and they can handle anything as long as, their parents are okay is false. They feel things very deeply. They grieve for a very long time. They grieve differently at different stages of their development. Kindergartner's going to, re-grieve that loss again when they switch to middle school or when they go through puberty or, when they're in high school.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing, grief, for
Yeah,
adults
we learned,
but and for kids.
A third grader is going to take things so much more literally than a fourth or fifth grader.
Right,
And it's,
right. They don't understand sarcasm or
Right.
Yeah.
or any of the, like the nuances in speech that
Yeah.
They
so
take
things,
things
something
very
random that
strictly.
said could really send somebody
send
at that
a kid off.
stage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's really
So
hard. So this National Grief Awareness Day is November
16th, which I feel is very interesting because our founder, Susie, passed away 4 years ago, and her birthday is November 18th. So I sort of feel like they're kind of tied together. It's, Susie kind of, lighting the way for us to say, okay, let's focus on this a little bit.
Yeah.
So, it is November 16th. I have approached the Building Owners and Managers Association of Chicago to light up some of the buildings in Chicago, and BOMA has approved our request. So now we have to get the buildings online.
Oh, great.
Which is a process because there's lots of them downtown.
Yeah.
So
just get the big ones.
right,
That's all you need,
right. I just
the
want
big
Wrigley.
ones. That one with the birthday cake on top, the wedding cake. Get that one
Yeah,
to do
right.
it.
The one where we told Burke that it was White Castle, headquarters.
Yeah, it's that. That one is like the key to everything. If that one lights up blue, then you're good.
Right.
Yep.
So that's one of the things, that I'd love to see that happen. We'll see how many buildings jump on board, but it would be, there are lots of other ways to participate too. I'm thinking that.
Someone's
that?
phone.
Ooh, I hope not.
No? That's weird. Sorry, folks. We're having some
Technical
Cellular interference.
signal interference here. What is that?
Ooh.
Something coming into the computer. All
Really?
right. It's live
This
broadcasting
is live,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
It is what it is.
Stuff happens.
But it's coming, is that coming from that
It was
speaker?
coming out of the computer.
Okay.
Yeah, output.
It's
I'm
still
not hearing it
happening.
coming. It is.
It's happening in the monitor. You want to just turn the monitor
I'll turn the
off?
monitor off, but I'm not hearing it in here.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wait.
Too funny.
No, that's weird.
All right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We're not
The beauty
trying
of
to take
live.
away
It's all
from,
good.
yeah.
No.
So, and then we also have, you've also got some other stuff coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's coming through something. Something's happening. What is that? It's very strange. Sorry, folks.
It's my impact on technology. That's what's doing it.
You started talking about the founder and how she passed away.
Right, and then
this
she started happening. Yep. So
yeah,
Susie's
sending
hanging around with us.
messages. Yeah.
She's like, yeah, no, I have something to say. And she totally.
Yeah, totally. You've got an event coming up.
A week.
Okay,
We're going to be down at the Chicago Yacht Club at Monroe Harbor for our family umbrella brunch.
Okay. And
Adults,
what does that mean,
kids.
umbrella brunch. Is there a significance to the umbrella?
One of our taglines is that we guide children through the storms of life.
Okay.
And I like to think that whenever anybody supports rainbows and supports these children, they're kind of walking them through with an umbrella.
Okay.
So, so we're having our little rainbow umbrella brunch at the Yacht Club. There will be a silent auction and children's activities. We're going to have a couple of speakers. So, and it's a nice, easy event because it's like a 2.5 hours, start your Saturday down in the city and then keep going. Go to the zoo, go shop, go to American Girl Place, whatever. Go to the new Apple
I'm so
store.
glad I'm past that. So glad I'm past American
Right.
Girl.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's hard.
So my husband's cousin, when he comes over, when they came over from Scotland with his daughters when they were younger, he's convinced they just took a vacuum up to his pocket and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And so that's from when to when? That's
It's from 11 to 2.
Okay. And are there tickets? Do you need
There
to
are
buy
tickets. You can go
Okay.
online and get them. You can email us through our website, however you want to approach it. But we're the more the merrier.
Okay.
And the thing is the more people we can put this in front of, the more children get help.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's kind of our focus. And then for the month of November, we're going to have some items for sale on our website. So one of the things that we're encouraging people to do is to actually, you can do it with or without the button, but there will be buttons available on our website that people can purchase that says, ask me why I'm wearing blue today.
Okay.
And then, hopefully that'll generate some additional funds so we can help more kids.
And some additional conversation, which
For
is
sure.
also very important.
Yeah.
So,
And,
get this out in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we're hoping to be able to have some blue light bulbs on there as well, so people can light up their front porch blue in support of grieving kids.
Oh, we're going to do that.
Okay.
We're so going to do that. We're
And,
going
that
to
would
get
be
some
great.
blue light bulbs and do that.
Yeah, so that's what it means when you hit the going button, you're going to be
You're going to be
lighting
lighting
up.
things
Yeah,
up.
Yes, so,
lighting things up, wearing blue on
Yes.
November 16th, whatever it takes to
Okay,
have that
we're doing that.
conversation.
All right.
All right. It's in the books.
It's on the books.
Okay.
I hit it. Share the event. Like the page. I don't know where that's coming from. That's a new thing.
New noise. Sorry about that, folks.
And yes.
You don't know what that is.
And the website again is rainbows.org, and the Facebook page is Rainbows for All Children on Facebook. And yes,
This is the lovely Stephanie Garrity, and she's wonderful. And if you need any more information around this, contact Rainbows, and she will fill you in on all of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Great. We didn't miss anything, did we? We got
Oh, we
everything?
probably missed 3,000 things, but we don't have 4 hours. So
Oh, are you going to be telling us which buildings are going to be lighting up?
for sure, I will add those to
Add
the
those to
event
the event,
page
yeah.
Okay.
as they come up.
Okay, great.
So
That's
that'll be
cool.
fun.
All right. Awesome.
All right,
Thank
well,
you
thanks
for
for
coming
coming by.
Stephanie.
Thanks
It
for
was
having
great having
me.
you here.
and yes, and we'll
We're going to fade out.
Coffee time.